Sunday Football Podcast is proudly brought to you by iStar Productions.
Sat, we're coming to the main last four awards. So let's start with defender or defenders of the year. Who are your defenders of the year?
This one I'm happy to try to talk to, because obviously I always pick defenders first, being a striker. I want to have a good defense. So I think obviously, look, we've got this is the toughest one, but we have many people who can play at the back. We haven't shouted out Kev as well. I think Kev's had a couple of good games. Like they've been good goals. He can play in the back. You've got your Dave, Ricky, Neil, Emran, yourself, Tish, Vim. There's a plethora of them, right? There's a lot of you guys, right? I think in terms of the best defenders of the lot, I think although the standard's gone up, I think it's always been a case of, for me, the top three or top four, which one is a hard, but it's normally, if it was Vim, yourself, and Tish. That was the original top three. I think Emran and Oscar are really knocking on that door. The only difference is I think I see them as, well, Oscar I see more as a hybrid. I think Oscar's been so good in terms of going forward as well. Is he just that defender? But he can do that. But the only thing is Oscar can't do that centre back. I think he's tried it. He doesn't do it. But if we're looking at like the centre back, if we're looking at centre back defender, if we're non-centre back, I think Oscar gets it for me, because I think if he's looking at like a full back thing, a centre back between you three this year, I think the reason that I'm going to give it to one of you three, and the one I'm going to give it to is yourself.
You can choose.
No. I'm going to give it to. I think you've been the. And the reason why I'll give it to you, and the reason why, and not just because you're here, because I 100% don't want to give it to you. All my instincts saying don't, because I think Vim, amazing. First half of the year is amazing, but unfortunately injuries. He's not been around as much, but he's been solid. I think Tish can say the same. He's had some really good, solid games, whatever. But there's been times where, Vim's struggled, obviously you can call it injury or whatever, and Tish struggled. You're the only one, I think, you've had your 7.5, 8s throughout the whole year, and you've been there as well. And I think I massively credit availability as well, and just being there. So I think of you four, and I put Emran in that fourth, I think you probably get the nod. I don't want to give you that 6 times or 5 times, so I don't want to make it official. But I think, to be honest with you, if you look at the whole year, the body of work for the whole year, from a defensive perspective, it would be yourself. Personally.
That's very kind of you, but I would massively disagree. I've had apart from that Orange game, there've been too many stonkers. Like there's two. That one comes to mind is the one where I think Ricky scored because
but they've all had barriers. I mean, the thing is, this year, unfortunately, there's been times where I've seen Tish being taken away, but we never normally see that. Like he's had a few. But as I said, the problem with you guys you, Tish and Vim, is the one time somebody gets past you or you've had a bad experience, people highlight it. Because you'll do 10 good challenges, but it'll be like, expect it. So I think you guys are always going to face that, and I think it's a bit unfair to have that all the time. So I think but there's not been anyone else that's been more like, I get you've made mistakes, but there's not been, the others haven't been completely flawless. If there had been, they'd get it, because there's been a year where Tish was like literally he needed one every single game. Vim had a year like that as well, but not only just, he was like stalwart, especially I think the ball playing well. I think he's a bit better than you guys with the ball as well. He gets that helps him out a bit more. Whereas obviously you've got the pace factor, Tish got the strength factor, but I think it's up to you who you want to give it to. I would probably give it to yourself.
Okay, so those are your three, right? It's Tony, Artish, and Vim, right?
Because I'm more thinking centre back. I think M1 is close second, because I'm leaving Oscar out because I'm thinking more as a full back. Because otherwise it gets too hard.
Yeah, I think for me, my choice is going to be very controversial, because this guy only played a few games, but when he's played, he's been really solid, and whenever he's available, seemingly that's the person that has been gravitated to in terms of centre back. So I'm gonna throw in. It's really tough, this one. I'm gonna throw in. I think just because of his overall level has not been as such. So I'm gonna put Imran there, because I just think in terms of being a monster and just being so dogged this year, I'm gonna put Artish in there because I just think Tish is his strength.
Yeah.
I think Vim has suffered from injury, so maybe Vim next year. And then the next one is going to be Daniel Galea. I think every time he's played, use of the ball, his physicality, his interceptions, and just him being a very, very difficult defender to get around. So I'm going to throw that one in.
I think Danji gets a shout from the newcomers as well. He's played a lot of good games. So I think I can see why I put him in there. I've had good games when I like playing with him there, but I think the difference is, I just think defensively he doesn't have the defense. Like I think if he has players around him that can play the fullback role as well, he's a good ball playing defender. But as an overall defender, like I don't know, if I was playing against Danji, or if I was playing against you or Tojo, there's more to think about. From a striker's perspective, there's it's a good shot to put in there, but I think if you're picking a defender and you've got a choice of Vim, Tish, and yourself, Dan, Emron, you're not picking him first. I think that's why I would not have put him in there.
I disagree.
And you might put him in the other. I think we can agree to disagree then. I think
we'll agree to disagree. Okay. Midfielders. Who have been your midfielders of the year?
To be honest with you, I think there's one player who just stands out for me there. Two. I think there's two who stand up for me, and they've literally been the most consistent, and that's been Louis and Shinji for me.
Yeah.
And pure midfielder wise, I would probably change. I think Raj. Unfortunately, when Raj has played more than 2 games in a row, he's going back to his best. But I think with Raj, he's not had the consistency for me in terms of availability, which has affected him a lot more.
I think he's played a lot this year.
Not as much as he normally would do, though. I think he would agree that he's not had his best. He's had good games, but there's been games where Raj has single-handedly won it. Whereas I think he's not. I think if right now, because if I choose between Shinji and Raj, if I had to pick one when I'm picking teams, I go Raj only because I know if it's one game where I've got to win it, I just know what I get out of Raj as a person. Although I think Shinji has had better. I think Raj will admit himself. Shinji has had better games, right? And I think. However, if we're putting Louis in that same bracket in the midfield, but the point is Louis doesn't stay in midfield. He's more of a hybrid player for me. Like he plays midfield or defense or wherever. He just moves around. He doesn't stick in a position. So that's why if it's just the best midfielder award for me, I would, of those 3, and obviously shout out to Chiggs. He's had a few good games in there when he's been back.
You don't have to be committed to one, right? Remember, we can choose 3 if you want, but
if we're choosing 3, then if we're choosing 3, then I think Chiggs misses out on that. Although, as I said, there's been a few good games when he's been back. Although he's semi-retired, he's had a few games where I thought, he's definitely playing a lot better now. But it would be Shinji, Raj, and Louis.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement.
I know Sam's had some really good games in there as well. But I think with Sam, I think it's without. I think there's been games where he's had. I think if Sam wants to play and Sam plays his game, he's up there as the best, if not the. I think he's at he can reach a level that's above everyone else because he's got the pace, the strength, the touch, and everything. But I think with Sam, I don't know. Sometimes just like if things aren't working for him, then I think can go a bit behind in the shadows and just be like, you know what, it's whatever. And I think that's the frustrating part.
Yeah, I think that's a complete fair shout, Saj. I think we're in complete agreement there. I think Sam, if he plays more regularly and he continues to keep himself positive when things aren't all necessarily going well around him. I think that's the only thing. But I'm happy that there was a game that I was able to help Sam through that. But
I've had a few games where Sam's done it, but there's also I think the problem is I think the percentage was there's also been a lot of games where he then gets frustrated and goes centre back, and I think it's the balance of you got to look at the balance of it, right? So
yeah. I think
and look, and your boy actually who's been quite good as well. Chat that like I'm always against Alok, but there's been Alok and John. They've had games where they've completely dominated. Where they haven't lost the ball. I'm like I could not believe it, and I've had to bite my own words because people will tell you I do not rate Alok and I don't rate John. Right? Some of it's maybe because I just don't like them on the pitch. Outside the pitch, I love them both. They're both lovely guys, but in the pitch, I had this frustrating thing against them, but they both had games with this year where I've actually said, no, do you know what?
Alok has had his Sadi Ghali moments this season. So yeah,
Yeah,
he's
just need to play
he's been
more. Just need
really
to play more. I don't play more. He'll
good.
be, you know.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just to wrap up on midfielders, yeah, definitely, I would say
Would you say those
Louis.
three as well? Shinji, Louis, and Raj? You think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fair?
completely. I think Louis's been
Yeah.
different class in midfield, and I think Shinji is just his touch, and Shinji you don't expect
Mm.
what he's going to do rather, but you still can't stop it.
Yeah.
And to have that much of an
I think
engine,
this category. I think next year you might see me coming. Hopefully, I don't think I'm that level, but I'm hoping to try and get. Because I think I can see myself transitioning to a midfielder now slowly.
I think there's been so many games where Shinji's energy has been unreal. Like he's still pressing, and
Yeah, it's
it's
tough.
like
It's tough. As I said,
45 minutes. It's
yeah,
like 15 minutes from the end of the game or something. So he's brought that in, and Raj, I think like I agree with you in a sense. I think Raj's level over the years has been so high that this year I just don't think I think
no, I don't think that's. I
people
don't
who
think
have
that's
been
the
a bit.
case.
I
I think
think
that's the
I
case.
think he's
No,
just
no.
dropped.
I think what it is. I think Raj hasn't really dropped the level. He's not. Maybe he's not. His touch may have gone a little bit. You know, he's maybe not scored as many goals. But I think we never had a Shinji and Louis there before. That was the difference. We had we haven't mentioned Boris
We've
there.
had good
I
players.
think Boris.
Yes.
Again, like Boris, when Boris plays well, Boris can be. Again, Boris is just a case of he's not played that many games, but when he has played, sometimes Boris can. We've seen Boris have some monster games, whatever, right? But again, it's just that consistency. Where I think Shinji and Louis have brought the consistency as well as the ability as well. So I think you might be right. Raj may not be at the same level he was before, but I also think now there's a competition there.
There's competition.
Fierce.
There's competition.
Yeah.
So if he drops,
I still think he's still a solid player. Now, we're still picking
of
Raj in the
course.
top.
When
Yeah.
you come to your picks, right? If Raj is available, you go for him.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're.
Your only stain on Raj is for me recently is been the discipline after him and Vim's. I don't want to bring it up, but that thing was a bit of a low point for me.
That was my season low point. Thanks for reminding me as well. So yeah, none of that next season. Forwards, Satch. Forwards.
Well, I mean, look, forwards. I think to be honest, there's only three main people who've done that position. I think it would be Jared, Mons, and myself. I think that we've been the kind of three main guys. There'll be other people who've done that role. I mean, shout out to Jamie. He's done that role every now and then, but that's not his natural position. Gary, to be fair, Gary gets a good shout. Although Gary, he's not a natural forward. Gary is a wiry midfielder for me, but also you can, he's had some good games up there as well. But I think, yeah, I mean, as I said, like I think us three have been the ones that are the main guys who can either bring people into play, do all the other stuff. I think we're all three different types of players. I still back myself against these guys. I think they're both, but I think right now, to be honest with you, I think their upside right now is higher. Like with Mons, the goals, because before Mons needed 6 chances to score 2. Now with 6, he might even score 4 or 5. So I think Mons. So I would say, and with Jared, what Jared can do when he's on in that part, no one else can do. So I would say that I would probably have to take the third seat in that thing, but I still think I can offer something different to these guys can in terms of the hold up and the bringing people in and the difference. But it'll be good. I think next year will be a good competition. I think, but yeah. So I think personally, I put us three in there. There are other people in there. Like obviously, Jake gets a shout. Like he's played a few times, but there he's been quite good. I do think Jake initially was very frustrating. He wasn't as effective, but I think he's had a few games where he's then become effective. But it just depends on like who's playing with. He needs certain players around him. But I think I'm lucky as a fellow striker. I don't have that much competition. It's just like 1 or 2 there. So that's why. Otherwise, I think as someone who's been injured, I'd put myself near the kind of wouldn't even mention myself in there. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say who's the best one is, and therefore me is in there. But
I think yeah. Unfortunately, this year we haven't seen, in my opinion, enough of Tom to play. This year in this sense, because then obviously he would get my vote straight away. But
of course he would. I mean, without regardless of how Tom plays, he would be up there for you. I still remember I got robbed in 2015 with scored more goals than he played better. Yeah, but no, Tom Green. So Tom Green gets the strike. Well, that's fine. I'm not bitter.
Tahir's had a big
Tahir as well.
Yeah. John came in and he went on a bit of a streak actually in the summer period. But I think for me, and the thing is, Satch, you're right in a sense. But I have to say it's not necessarily as clear cut as U3, to be honest. I think Mons, for me, just what he's improved and his consistency has been the standout.
Yeah, no, if we're choosing the one,
hang on.
Sorry, go on.
So I think Mons for me, Gerrard, because Gerrard is just he's devastating and whatnot. We have to talk about Kev. When Kev has been up front this year, hold up play and scoring some crucial goals as well. He's been very, very good. So I don't think it's as easy as just you three. And this is not for me to bad mind you. I'm probably just still gonna say Satch because of I think your goal ratio to Kev's is ahead, and obviously forwards, that's your main thing. But I think Kev needs to be. Let's give
Kev gets a shout, but I just think you got to remember, like you got to do it enough times. That I think Kev's had good games. But also, there's been games where he's not then been effective, or he has to be at the back, or he's not played there for whatever reason. So I think Kev and myself, I think sometimes we have to take. Because we can play in midfield, we then push back in midfield or defense. You have to do that defensive role, right? Of all three of us, like I get sacrificed a lot to either go left mid or go back or help at the back.
Yeah, but that's only when you've got Gerrard and Jake in your team that you have to make that.
Or whoever, or somebody else. I'm thinking there's a sacrifice. I feel like the Wayne Rooney of the group. I've got to make sacrifices for the Van Persies and the Zlatans and all these lot, right? But yeah, as I said, like to be honest with you, I think. It's a tough one, but I think in the last 3 months, obviously recency bias withstanding, I would probably, I'd probably give the nod to Mons only because I said he's been the last months. And again, that's no disrespect to Gerrard. I still think Gerrard, no matter what, even Gerrard's having bad games, he's still picked in the first 2 or 3 picks. First 2 picks is picked there, which says a lot about a guy, right? Whereas I will sometimes be picked in the middle of the table because whatever, right? Whereas I think those guys now, especially Mons now crept up. As Mons, there's a period where at the start of the year, and no respect to you, Mons, but he wasn't picked this high. He was, people waited till the 6th, 7th, or 8th pick because they know they could, work around him when he's going to get tired, he'll puff out. But recently, he's definitely pushed up. So let's just see how he goes in 2025. But I wouldn't begrudge. You said Mons as the best forward.
Yeah. I think Mons, that 7-goal performance and just his consistency. There was a time where
it's not the 7-goal
for 3 months he scored a goal every Sunday, and it was just I had to mention on the pod where I said we finally stopped Mons from scoring, and then he picked it up again as soon as he came back. He picked it up again. So yeah. Last award, Satch, MVP of the year. I think we're only looking for one person. I think we give it.
And I think, to be honest, there is only one person for me for MVP. I think. But to be honest, I think we're both going to agree with this, and I think I think in the same way, how last year Gerrard was kind of like he took it to the other level. I think with Louis, his team, I think he's taken to other. I think there's been times where we've kept Louis quiet, but then he's still been effective, and that says a lot. Where you're looking at little moments as opposed to the whole thing. That there was a spell, I think from June to I think where. Nearly every week he scored either 2 or 3 goals, but we don't talk about him as a striker. So he could technically get best forward as well, like in theory, because if you look at forward, what forward's job is to score goals. He's probably scored as many goals as most of us, right? So I think the MVP wise, I think because I know he's only really played properly since July or June. If he played a few games before that, I think it has to be him. Yeah, I think Louis has to be. I think the other people. There's no point even talking about the people coming close because there are people like you defenders. Other people have come close, but I think he's the one that's just always been there as the top pick or the
Yeah, I think we're in complete agreement there. I think Louis' level of performance, and you can just see it from the ratings from each game, right? I don't think Louis drops below 8. And we score him very harshly. He could get a hat-trick or a double hat-trick, and he only gets like 8.5 or 8.7 something because we whether it's grudgingly we don't want to give him a 10, but I think
it's frustrating because he doesn't look that. The way he runs his gait and he's got that Rodney Trotter look about him. He doesn't look that good. He shouldn't be as good as he is. Like he's not that. Like there are times when I'm playing, I'm like, you know what? He's not that fast. I'll stay with him. But he's like, whereas with Gerrard, when Gerrard's on his day, he's bulldozing. He's got that physical. Whereas I don't know how he's got that frustrating element about Louis, where he can just he punishes you. He punishes you even when you're not expecting it. I think that's the mark of a good player, right?
I think it's that quickness in mind, quickness in feet. There's so many times where he a bit of a body shape, a bit of a drop of the shoulder, it gets himself out of trouble. I've talked about that goal that he does where he plays it off the wall. I mean, we can, some purists in football may say, hey, that's cheating or whatever, but the ingenuity to do it and to do it a couple of times.
Yeah, no, the wall is there to be used. The wall is there to be used as your friend.
His ability to pass and just to galvanize a team. The only reason why I'd mark him down was when he blasted me for when I tried to scoop the ball over to the goalie, and he did it the next week. It's just my execution was bad, but this is me. But I
think this year will be quite interesting. I think this year will be, for me, interesting for Louis now, because I think that Jared had that the year before, but I think he was the standout by far. I think he was the MVP by a mile last year, right? Not a mile, but he was definitely this year was an injury. But I think now, because how does Louis now in the second year? Because in the second year, when you're playing regularly, people have started to figure you out. People have started to double team you. So I think let's see how he does this. This year will be quite key. I think he'll still be very good.
I think people have worked that out a bit, right? You just stick Jamie Brett. Jamie Brett is
let's see how he does this year. But especially after the old Christmas mince pies and everything, let's see how he's doing in Jan and stuff. But look, he'll still be a quality player. But I still think, it was a good that Louis was a good player. I only played one game only. Hopefully, he can play the odd time.
3 games, yeah. So that will be a good challenge actually if we get Louis to start.
Yeah,
playing.
So I think we're getting good players, and they're all good team players as well. They're not just all they're like good players to have around as well. They're good. But I think it's. I'm looking forward to it next week now. I'm excited.
If we get Byron back, shout out to you, B Money. If we get Byron back, that's another good.
Byron has. Then again, it makes it adds more to the forward line as well, because these guys are all
definitely.
Cool.
Well, Satch, thanks very much for joining us for this MEF end of year podcast. It's been a great 2024. Thank you, Satch, for all of your organization and especially that saving us during that Dagenham period. That was great. But yeah, Satch, just thanks again for everything you've done in terms of
I just realized that I thought for some reason that we'd done the block till January, but I realized that we'd done a shorter block for 12 weeks because we started in September. Because the Dagenham thing, it skewed it a little bit, so we started earlier. Yeah. So that I just realized I haven't been bloody paid. So that means it's good in a way. I'm expecting a little bit of a payment, because I was wondering, why is my bill so bloody high? Now it makes sense.
The fine system, Satch, surely that should be helping out, but we need to talk.
Mate, I've not seen any of that money. I don't know what's happening.
I'll be honest with you. You know what's funny, Satch? Do you know what's funny? The fines were going so well until Vim turned up late once, and then since then we've not seen the imposition of the fines since.
Mate, I don't know what's going on with the fines. All I know is he's going on all these holidays. He's going to Austria for skiing and stuff. When I asked him, so I don't know where these fines are going. Probably, look, I'm sure he'll sort it out. But we do need to, we do need to sort that out as well, actually, with the fine stuff. But I think, to be honest with you, it's not really a huge amount in there. But the key thing is there won't be, if people come on time, there won't be fines, right? So we need to be a bit better. And I think let's start off this week. Are you playing this week, this Sunday?
I should be playing this week, yes.
Yeah, let's make sure we're all there on time, so there's no late coming. In fact, we need to get Neil to put the group out.
He has. We just need. I think Shinji is the last responding, saying he's out, so we need a replacement. So hopefully, maybe Louis. I think Jake stepped up, so maybe Louis or Ben can step up to that. So we'll see.
Yeah, look, to people like your Louis, Ben, and your Jakes or whatever, especially Jake, Ben will be. Play more often, the more they play, before we know it, they'll be kind of household names, and they'll get their consistency, right? So I think Ben, especially, I think I've got a feeling he'll play a lot more games, and as will, Ben, Jake, and Louis. And then if a block becomes available, we should consider it, and that's more of a. Before you think about that, like appearances to a block, like should people have a block when they're just? But there's an element of that we should probably think about. But right now, that's not the time to.
It's not the time. All right.
Yeah.
Satch, thanks very much for all your hard work, mate. And
you as well. Thank you, mate, for all that hard, especially with the video, the editing and stuff. I think it's it's not easy doing all that stuff. It's a tough one. I think some of the people, and you need to remember, like, just because people are appreciating it, just because they're not showing it doesn't mean they don't appreciate it. And I think we're generally quite bad as Brits generally, that we don't. If we were in America right now, we'd be like, "Oh man, well done." We'd be like all that. It's our culture here is to be a bit more stiff upper lip. We just don't. Oh yeah, it's good. So what? Whereas we need to be a bit more appreciative.
Don't worry. Oscar's the one who usually responds, and then that makes me feel at peace.
Yeah,
it's
but
Mons is the problem. Mons is the problem. You do him a whole promo and all this kind of stuff, and then he doesn't respond. And Chirag, Mons and Chirag, those are the two that hurt me the most when you do stuff dedicated to them. But it's all good. It's all good.
Hopefully they'll listen to this.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening, guys, to this MEF special podcast. We will see you in 2025. Have a happy New Year, everybody. And
Happy New Year to you all. See you guys on Sunday.
See you guys on Sunday. Bye-bye.